when I bring up credit cards, they're like, wow, you're an idiot. They're like, why are you doing that? But we've always utilized 0% interest credit cards. I can use it as liquid cash the next day. And it was 0% interest for 18 months.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Today I have Brandon Elliott, who is the host of the Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing podcast. He is crushing it over there. I was on his show a few weeks ago, if you guys heard that. It was a really fun show to do with him. And Brandon, you have a super crazy backstory about, kind of your upbringing and just everything else that we can dive into, but also the way that you buy properties and that you invest, you utilize credit in a way that I feel like I haven't really heard from any modern people, because you have literally bought houses with credit cards and done all these other crazy things. And I feel like that's what, I talked to older investors who used to get VHS tapes off of, whatever late night TV infomercials that would teach them how to do that. But you've done that recently. And so I would love to dive into that, what that looks like and everything else going on, including the group where you teach people how to use credit the same way. So welcome to the show, Brandon.
Dude, Mike, appreciate you so much for having me. I love it. I'm excited. We had such a good time on my podcast when you're on for Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing. So anybody that hasn't listened to that episode, I highly recommend going and checking it out. You dropped a lot of great nuggets. My story basically is I grew up in New Jersey, a single parent mother. She's diagnosed with manic depressive bipolar. I have two sisters. And we always grew up on Section 8. I call it American poor because so above and beyond blessed. We had a lot of help from local churches, friends, and schools, but also the government paying for the Section 8 housing as well as Social Security and so forth. So very blessed. But it was still, there's still a struggle. There's still a poverty mindset that had to be overcome one way or another. And I grew up just a little misfit. I made a lot of mistakes. I became a big pothead at a certain age to get away from all the, negative things. And I used it for good, bad, ugly, everything in between. And eventually I ended up having an explosion in my apartment, making hash oil like a moron in San Diego. And so I was literally on fire. Literally on fire. I burnt 40% of my body. I was induced into a coma for a full week. I went through 3 surgeries. I had to learn how to walk again from just being bedridden for 3 weeks. And yeah, man, it was definitely an eye-opening experience. I didn't have a male figure in my life to be able to be hey, think about your damn actions, bro. But
yeah, right. That's crazy. And so I'm ignorant. I'm not really a cannabis person.
Yeah.
How do you cause an explosion making hash oil? What is that? What even transpired for that?
Yeah, you're just being a moron. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's young and dumb for sure. But so blessed at the same time. I was wearing gloves at the time that for baseball that I used to have for riding dirt bikes and quads that I haven't rode in years, and I don't play baseball. So that protected my my hands. As you can see, there's skin graft right below it. But how I was doing that was I was utilizing butane, and that is anybody that I don't know. Long story short, there's a process to utilize butane to liquidate the trichromes on the marijuana plant, and then you vaporize that later.
So someone with a background in chemistry can send me that over, because I was a physics kid. Chemistry is not my jam.
Yeah. So check this out. I ended up getting a lot of court charges, as you can imagine. I didn't realize how ignorant I was at the time, but you're allowed to have the end product, the beginning product, and everything in between. I had a medical marijuana card and all that dumb stuff. And yeah, long story short, I ended up, I didn't realize that it was illegal to make the process, that in between process. And so that's considered manufacturing. And it's also the same exact charge as if I was making meth.
Oh, geez.
And so that was really eye opening to me. Like I was facing 12 years in prison, and like first time ever being a moron. And I'm sure not the first time being a moron, but first time getting caught for something like that, and having such an eye opening experience. Like I needed something to shift, right? So
Yeah.
it was a long out process, but I ended up getting house arrest. I ended up fighting it in court for a while. I got 2 felonies and a misdemeanor, and that left me with options of real estate because I
Yeah.
didn't know what else to do. I was working restaurants at the time.
Yeah,
So
right. Especially with like that sort of track record now, getting like a regular job, especially somewhere like California, where I feel like
yeah,
they are typical. You know, there's a lot of people to choose from. It's going to rule you out right away of any traditional employment.
for sure.
So okay, so that led you to real estate. Did you go into like investing right away, or did you try to do like the realtor game like so many people do?
No, that's a great question. So I was actually doing door to door sales for Kirby vacuum cleaners at the time. So
Okay.
I got into sales. I was quite good at it from my background, and I ended up getting recruited into a real estate investment company here locally in San Diego. Loved it. I loved the systems that were in place. We were focusing on NODs at the time. That's like notice of defaults. There's a lot of pre-foreclosure back in
Mhm.
2011, 2013 times. And um, what was really cool was I got a little bit of education, but I got so much more motivation that like
Mhm.
had me running. So I ended up picking up all the books, the podcasts like this, and all the YouTube I could get my hands on to really get educated on this stuff. And then 2 years later, I put in the work. I put in 4 hours every day of education and implementing things. Submitted 30 offers. I was going against real investors that like do all cash, no contingencies, stuff that we do now. So
Yeah.
I kept on getting my offer denied. But 2 years later, I finally got offers accepted, and we fell in love with the Burr strategy, and that's what we started rocking and rolling with. And the like real estate has changed my life, but credit was the catalyst to be able to do it. I didn't have any money saved up. I was working restaurants. I had a lot
Yeah.
of debt over my head from the hospital bills and everything else. So it's like I didn't know what else to do except I had decent credit and I had decent credit lines. And I figured out how to get the credit lines higher and how to be able to liquidate them into cash so that I could
Okay.
actually close on real estate.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So that I was going to ask sort of what that transition looked like too, but that makes sense. And I
Yeah.
love what you're saying though, because so many people, they reach out to me, and they want to become an investor and they don't know where to start. So they go through like this analysis paralysis. So they
Mhm.
listen to all the podcasts, they read all the books. People always want to know like the number one place where I learned how to do what to do. But what you did that it makes so much sense is you went and you worked for an investment company. And
Yeah.
this is what I tell people all the time is if you really seriously want to do it, especially if you don't have money,
Yep.
especially, like if you don't have the experience or any sort of like family background, go work with one of the companies that's doing what you want to do and just learn how to do it that way. It's the
Yeah.
easiest way to get into it and like actually do actionable things
Yep.
and not just like, you don't have to risk your own money. You just got to give your own time and be prepared to learn and put in the legwork. And that's super, super cool. So, awesome. So the transition when you were buying houses, were you still working for the company? Like, were they cool with you buying houses? Cause I know some companies don't like that.
No, so I actually only lasted with them for about 6 months, and then there started
Hmm.
being internal issues with management, jealousy, a lot of money coming in, about
Yep.
600K a month, and
Crazy.
it just started bringing a spiral of issues and
Hmm.
management. So, like I said, I got my feet wet there. I got a little bit of education, but I got so much more motivation that I was
Yeah.
just like, hey, I didn't even think about real estate because it wasn't in my family background. Once I got my eyes open to it, I was like, this is what I want to do. And I was just determined to get there.
Yeah, awesome. So you left there, and then from there you went back into the restaurant industry, and you're like, I'm
Yep.
going to do this myself now. So
Yep.
you were going to auction, you said, or were you like doing direct mail? Like what, like those offers that you were making before? Maybe I missed it. How
Yeah.
exactly were you making those offers, and like what is that sort of transition like?
Yeah, so I had a realtor as a friend. We
Okay.
submitted a bunch of offers on a regular basis. It was a little over 30 in a 2 year time frame. So I was working 2 restaurant jobs, trying to get out of debt from the explosion, and I was just putting in the work of checking out new properties and more education each and every day. So as I did that, I was starting to get more desperate of like, hey, if I don't get one of these, accepted, I'm just going to submit on an offer. I know that's like, it's stupid, but I'll learn from it. And then, which I'm glad that I didn't, but I was getting to the point, like, I'd rather mess up when I'm young, because I know it's going to happen eventually. So let's just, I'm determined to get into real estate now. But luckily I started looking in other states, and Ohio was the one that made sense for us. Started buying properties left and right there, and went through the trial and error with contractors, but started paying them with credit cards. And that saved me a lot of headache and a lot of time by protecting myself.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So sounds like the cash flow, I'm guessing, was the goal. If you were in San Diego and you couldn't find, so you start looking in Ohio. That's why most people in the West Coast look into the Midwest, because over here on the West Coast, it's just much harder to find good cash flowing assets.
Yeah.
And especially too, I know a lot of people when they're starting to, I was the same way. The only thing you care about is cash flow, because you need to pay your bills.
Yeah.
And a lot of like the upside of equity and those sort of things you don't even care about until, you get some mailbox money coming in.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get out of the restaurants. I was like, man, this is all I know. I need to get out of it. I need like 5, 6, 10K a month, and I'd be set. And then, there's levels to it. So once I hit those, then I started feeling more comfortable,
Yeah, right. Were you at least working in like a cool restaurant though, or was it like a Red Robin or something?
No. It was like little mom and pops. There was a Thai restaurant and a Italian restaurant. So I got good food.
Yeah, there you go. At least it wasn't like a big corporate sort of restaurant, which can be extra soul sucking, because you have to deal with the staff, and you have to be deal with the corporate side of it too. Yeah, exactly. No. Cool. So I guess started going over to Ohio. Let's talk about how you started paying for these things. You didn't have any money. I know that the credit was a huge portion of what you were doing, and you said you had good credit lines. Yep. First off, I guess it's funny. For some reason, I never realized that, I guess, a criminal record probably doesn't necessarily affect your credit. Like I'm just completely ignorant to that. Okay. Yeah. And then, so you were able to get these credit lines. Like, how did you start putting those together? And you said you figured out how to turn them to cash. And I guess I didn't realize you could do that either without paying like 27% interest or whatever the hell the credit card companies charge you when you go and you take a cash advance.
Yeah, see, so many people believe that, and that's why, like, when I bring up credit cards, they're like, wow, you're an idiot, They're like, why are you doing that? But we've always utilized 0% interest credit cards. And there's even, and it's not always like the introductory credit cards that, you see 0% interest promotion deals that, these banks are selling to us. You can actually ask your current credit card that you have, like, hey, do you have any promotional deals behind the scenes underneath my account that I can take advantage of? I got this amazing opportunity. I want to take down this real estate, remodel it. It's going to be worth a lot more. Is there any opportunities that I could utilize my credit card to be able to, pull this off? And that's exactly what I did. They said, yeah, we got this promotional deal. It's similar to a cash advance or like a balance transfer, except they'll just wire the funds right into my bank account. I can use it as liquid cash the next day. And yeah, I mean, it was 0% interest for 18 months.
Interesting. So like, I guess like what amounts of money are you able to get that way? Because I guess what I think about too with stuff like that, it's usually kind of like sucker loans, it's like 3 or 5%, but you said it's at 0% interest, but it's something that they're going to make you like put up all of your personal assets to secure.
No, yeah. So there's no security behind it. I mean, the credit card itself had a personal guarantee. So it's just like a regular credit card. I'm responsible for my monthly payments. And you can make at 0% interest, you can make just your minimum payments, which is typically like $35 or anywhere from like 1 to 3% of whatever your balance is. So you just got to be mindful of that. Also, taking advantage of this promotional deal, you really can't utilize that credit card anymore, even if there's availability on it, because that's where they catch people off guard, and it stops that 0% interest on that whole account moving forward. So, I had it as 0% interest for 18 months. Right when I make a purchase on there, it stops that 18 months and it starts right away on the whole balance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're like literally just like asking the lender, I guess the credit card
Bank.
company, like, hey,
Yeah.
can I, instead of having, I don't know, $20,000 on this card, what do you ask for, like half of it as like 0%, or?
Yeah, so I got first off, I it was very important for me to get my credit limits as high as possible. I already had credit cards around 60,000 and 70,000 from every 6 months, asking and getting educated on knowing what to say and how to get
On
the
like
increases.
on a single card?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Back then, that's crazy.
yeah, man.
It's taken me forever to get cards that are like, 40 or 50 grand. And even still, I always face pushback from it. That's nuts.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's because people don't know what to say and they don't know how to position themselves or how the banks are judging them. So when
yeah.
you understand these things, you know exactly how to position yourself to make it a low risk and get your credit limits as high as, I mean, we've gotten ones up to like 150 plus
Really?
thousand.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my new students, he got one credit card at 100,000
Yeah.
doing his first mass apply.
Yeah. And these cards that like 100,000. So if you, so I keep interrupting you because I'm trying to like comprehend what you're doing.
No, it's
But
exciting, man. Run with it.
yeah, yeah. So like, you're getting this like $100,000 card. You're going to get 0% interest on like how much of that? Like the whole thing?
The whole thing, yeah.
But like, why would the bank do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Well, the bank wants you to mess up.
Yeah.
They want to take your business as well. There's tons of options. There's over 4,300 banks nationwide, different banks,
Yeah.
all in the same industry to lend money to people and make money off of us, right? So when we open up and having a bank relationship is a very key ingredient that many people overlook. The more bank account relationships you have, the more products and services you're taking advantage of, the more like the longer you've been with them, it shows it shows good credibility with them, so a lower risk. But at the end of the day, they want to get you in and take you from some other bank and get you committed to just them. And then afterwards, they're going to kind of wheel you in with certain things, 0% interest, hoping that you'll mess up.
Yeah. Sorry, my dog's barking. Got UPS guy here.
No, it's all good.
Leave that in for authenticity, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, so you basically competing for your business, which makes sense. So then I guess when you go and you pull, say, $100,000, is it like when I do that, can I get like credit card rewards on that too, or is it just like a cash thing?
Yeah. So when there are ways that you can get rewards from that as well. However, the techniques that I've utilized in the past, a majority of them, I would say it would be easier to not go the rewards route and instead simply get it liquidated into your bank account so that you can use as cash. But when you're paying for contractors, always I'm paying real estate contractors with my credit card and I'm earning points with that. And the best part behind that is usually because we do the burst strategy or fix and flips in the past, after each remodel, I typically have enough points to go on like a free vacation.
Yeah.
So that's always fun too. It's like a good reward,
Yeah, that's awesome. See, I wish Dan was here because he drives me freaking crazy when he like doesn't pay with credit card. He like use like our debit card at Home Depot. I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, never.
I'm like, come on. Well, so I have my own personal rentals that I also own alongside from him. And I did a bunch of renovations on my different properties this past year. And, I just cashed like 800 and something thousand points that I could use across all those things from the past couple of years.
Come on.
And that's me and my wife, we flew first class to Africa in September with that.
Yes. And so it's very important to learn how to utilize the points too, to make the most bang for your buck. Because if you use it the traditional route, many people don't realize you're wasting a lot of points. But if you're making a ton of points, it doesn't matter. You're still having a ball. But for Dan, for example, for the debit card thing, this goes for anybody. Hopefully Dan listens to this though, because you put yourself at so much risk using a debit card. That's where identity theft happens. That's where you have no security. That's where they can get access to your bank account and other info. So it's very important you're not getting any rewards with debit cards,
Yeah, exactly. You're not getting anything like that at all. I guess it's just for people who really don't have credit or get credit for some reason. So yeah, that's interesting though. So I guess when you're building up this sort of nest egg with these different credit cards that you're pulling the cash from, like, are you kind of limited on what you could pull? Or like theoretically, the guy that got $100,000, could he go and do that at like 5 other banks and have like 500 grand,
Exactly.
600
So
grand, whatever?
when he did his mass apply, and a mass apply for anybody listening, it's simply an application sequence. If done properly, you can get 10, 20, 30, 40 plus credit cards at once. So it's very impactful. But so that was just one credit card that he got at 100,000. He actually got, with his mass apply, he got over 25 cards, and he got 464,000 in new credit lines.
Oh, Jesus. I'm seriously thinking like this one simple tip will make your bookkeeper hate you forever.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah. Dude, my bookkeeper is like, man, can you just be easy on me this year? And I'm like, you know what space I'm in, dude.
Yeah. That's crazy though. Like, so mass apply. So I guess, what does that mean? Is there like a service that you do for that? Or is it's like basic steps you said, but like, I mean, obviously there must be a way that's simpler and doesn't hit your credit over and over and over again, I would imagine.
Yeah, so it's actually very complicated, but there's a science behind it. There is an algorithm, there's step by step. So there's about 15, 20 different moving pieces to be able to get educated on. And we teach people at Credit Counsel Elite, we teach people a 4-step process. So it's educate, fix, build, and leverage. So at the end of the day, we're teaching people how to, get educated on how the banks and lenders are judging them, so they know how to play the game of credit. They know how to be able to flip the script on the banks and get as much funding as they deserve. Fixing credit, it's a process where we can show people how to remove bankruptcies, collections, hard inquiries, all within a couple hours to 10 business days. And in some cases, 30 or longer. That's the only thing that, there's no guarantees in. But with our track record, we can get really fast results. And then next, being able to do that mass apply, the build credit, we can show you how to be able to get to the 800 FICO score in less than 30 days. And then afterwards, being able to set yourself up for a personal mass apply as well as a business mass apply, and get a ton of funding. So you can do your mass apply every 6 months, get $500,000 to $1 million actually in 12 months. Time frame. And so you can do it for yourself, your significant other, friends, family, whoever. Yeah. And then lastly, like once you have all that credit, put it to work, leverage it. We show people how to purchase properties with it, but also life insurance where you can fund it, pull all your money back out 10 days later, travel hacking, and so much more.
Yeah. That's freaking insane, man. You're like blowing my mind right now as we're just sort of sitting over here thinking about how much of a pain in the ass is even to get like business lines of credit and those sort of things. Like we can get lines of credit for our business up to like $50,000 relatively simply, but we have to go to so many different banks to do all this different underwriting. It's definitely not happening in 30 days. We 30 days for like the whole process. And they make you go to the bank, you got to do a signing, you got to do all this BS.
Sure.
And then also too, the problem with lines of credit through a bank, I don't know if the credit cards are like this, but they can technically call business lines of credit whenever they want.
Sure.
Like every single set of documents they make you sign, it says that if they suspect anything weird going on with your business, something weird goes on with the economy, this got people in 2008, same with like home equity line of credit, they can just call it and you have to give it all back. And if you don't have it, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah.
So, but with the credit cards, because they're 18-month term, do they have that? Because I imagine that it would be less likely to do so.
Yeah, so the banks are always going to be in power. Like they're the ones lending it out. They can cancel the cards, they can shut cards down, credit lines down. The difference is that they have to work with you on the financing afterwards. If you have a big balance left over and your agreement was different in the past, like you have this opportunity, then they have to continue that. Obviously, they don't need to continue giving you more though. There's many ways around it, but knowing how they're judging you and how to play the game first and foremost will set you up for success in the long run. And just like you said, one bank will do it, there's tons of others that will as also. You just need to know which ones to go to and what to say. And the big key factor here is that whether you apply for one credit card or one line of credit in 1 month, or you apply for 30, it's going to make the same impact on your credit profile. And it's actually going like after 30 days, once the new accounts start popping on there, either 1 or 30 of them, it's going like you're not going to be able to do another application. You have to wait several
Yeah.
months, 3, 4 to 6 months before you can do it again.
And that's with like the same bank or just like in general?
In general, because when you apply, if you apply for 2 cards or a bank line of credit today, and then you wait next month, you got approved and it shows up on your credit profile, then the next month you try applying somewhere else, they're going to deny you naturally in many cases, not all banks, but many cases, the rule of thumb, because they see that you just applied for something and you have new credit lines that are brand new on there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're searching around for too much new credit. So you're a higher risk.
Yeah.
So that's why you want to do it in a lump sum over 30 days before all these new accounts pop up on your credit profile. Get a couple 100,000 versus 20,000, and then do it every 6 months for yourself.
Yeah. Huh. That's super interesting. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Kind of like it's kind of similar to if you're trying to get a mortgage and, a mortgage lender pulls your credit, and then, you should apply to other places as well within that immediate time frame. Otherwise, it'll show that you inquired for debt. Okay. That's cool. So I guess, when you're finding these institutions, are these like the big companies? Are you looking for like small banks? Like, can I go like an American Express card?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, American Express in general like are the easiest cards to get. Okay. So a lot of the like big gurus out there that are teaching similar things that we are, they'll get people American Express cards because they're the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what I would say is you want to start off with big banks first, and then slowly start working into small credit unions, local community banks, because you'll get the most bang for your buck with them. You'll get big credit lines and so forth. You'll have more flexibility, but it's really, really relationship based with them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. And it is. And we always really emphasize that as well when we work with people here who are trying to get especially BRRRR style loans.
Yeah.
And they want to, especially right now where like Fannie Freddie mortgages are so expensive. Yep. And like DSCR lenders are just robbing you blind. If you have a good relationship with like a credit union here, you can still get great rates and it's quick. And it's cheap. Yep. Like we're able to still BRRRR properties and get rates kind of like around, 5, like upper 5s to 6 because it's held in house by the, from the credit union. Yeah, exactly. And then even to get them, I just like text my banker. I'm like, hey, that's what we need to do. He says, cool. We'll close in like 2.5 weeks. So easy compared to going through the whole song and dance with these.
Yeah. It's a good relationship. It makes it so much easier once you can, you have a face to talk to, a contact, and it's the small local banks.
Yeah, exactly. So that's awesome, man. So I guess, have you ever like had to get like a hard money loan or like a typical normal loan on a purchase, or have you always just used credits and you just refinance into the bank loans after you?
Yeah, so we do. Yeah, I mean the BRRRR strategy, we always refinance into long-term, good financing. But yeah, we definitely use hard money as well. I mean, we're out here in San Diego, so we have $1.5 million properties that we are funding. So I have the credit lines to use it. However, it makes sense. How I look at it is I already have good, strong relationships with some of these lenders, and I'm getting it at 8%. And what I can do is raise money second, like private money, or third, use credit as backup plans. So I'm a big advocate of always having backup plans because I've never been a part of any real estate transaction that it went exactly how we anticipated.
Of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the most true statement of any real estate investor. And I guess too, if it's like $1 million purchase, you can get your traditional hard money loan, whatever, and then just use the credit funds for your down payment, and that will make you fully leveraged and be pretty strong. So no, that's cool. So I guess one last question before I sort of dive into, I guess, like what your investing looks like and how you've used a lot of this in practice. How do you manage all these lines of credit? So you have like a
spreadsheet
platform to do? You just have a spreadsheet? You just do it all manually?
Yeah. It sounds very like nerdy and corny. And I'm not really, trust me, I'm not that analytical, but it is very important to just stay as organized as possible, especially when you have 50 plus bank accounts, because you're all about having the relationships. You want to have the date you opened it, the name of the bank, the name of the credit card, the bank manager. You want to have these resources at your convenience, knowing which cards to use for the highest rewards and so forth, so that you can just look at your spreadsheet and be able to kind of put it in the right order.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That makes sense. And because that is one thing that does get tricky as you start to have different like values, I guess, of liquidity. So like even right now we have a fund that we have some money raised and we do like hard money lending and we use it to purchase our own properties, things like that. But, you know, all the different tiers of cash that we have, they have different costs, you know? So like our investors, they get like a preferred return, but then our line of credit, like we're not paying that if it's not utilized, but it's technically cheaper money. You know, and then like our own cash is obviously has no cost to it except for the opportunity cost. So it's always trying to keep track of which money you actually should be using as you go, to make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck for your liquidity. And it sounds like you kind of do the same thing, but with credit cards, because I imagine, you know, the cost on those is going to be when they're coming due, if you look at it down the line.
Yeah, and you can move things around. I mean, by building these bank relationships, you can get sign-up bonuses with the banks that I typically average about $5,000 a year just with free money for opening new bank accounts. And then every time you do a mass apply, you can get about 10 to 15,000 in free sign-up bonuses. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do with credit besides just like travel hacking, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, you got an interesting niche, and you break it out in a way, I guess, that makes more sense than I've ever heard anyone else try to explain it. That's super, super cool. So I guess looking at your own investing, how have you used this to build out your investments, you know, your portfolio? What does your actual investment business look like along with all this stuff?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we have 20 plus doors at this point, long distance, that are more long-term holds, as well as our portfolio here locally in San Diego. We have a little over 8 million in assets, 30K a month in like passive, income. And it's all from real estate. But like I said, you know, I was a little screw up from New Jersey, you know, and working restaurant jobs, had no money. So I utilize credit to constantly like catapult this, you know, and over the years we've, other people have seen that, they've asked us how we've done it, and we started teaching it and helping out thousands of people in Credit Counsel Elite as well. So it's just transformed into like kind of like my baby, right? Like real estate, I love it. Couldn't be happier with real estate. Everybody should get some. And then and credit, it's like, I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. It's amazing.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I think that sort of transition over where you said, you know, it's kind of your baby, like the credit card stuff, that seems to be, I mean, I think the natural evolution of humans, you know, you like, I don't know that many people that really love like fixing up properties and the headaches, things that come in. Like some people do, but for a lot of us, myself including this, it's kind of a means to the end to do the stuff that you really like. So for you, it's, you know, starting the course and like teaching other people how to, you know, use the skills that you've learned. And that's like even the same for me. That's a big reason that we started this podcast was, you know, I love the podcast format. I love having conversations like this with interesting people. You know, Dan and I, we've built a, you know, pretty solid business. We have a strong portfolio. And now what I love personally is like the marketing side of it and like strategizing, like how to find opportunities. And so I'm like, cool, I would love to teach other people how to do that. And it becomes a fun thing. And, you know, it's funny because a lot of people, I always say like, well, why would they waste time teaching you that if what they had going for them was so effective? And it's like, because we're already doing it and it's fun to get other people doing the same thing. It just becomes like a, you know, enlightening thing, and, you know, rising tides raise all ships at the end of the day. So.
You know, it's been the most fulfilling and rewarding thing I've ever felt, honestly. And I didn't think it would be that way initially. I thought I was more self-centered in like, you know, I need to make myself successful and my family first. And of course you need to put on your own mask first, right? Like you got to get educated. Don't be a guru that you took my course and then you start teaching it right away, you know, because we've had people, but trust me, it's like after putting in the time, the energy and the efforts, like you're going to go through learning curves and you're going to have something that you can help out other people with. And man, it's changed my life. And we've seen other, like hundreds of other people change their life too. So we know it works. Very proud of it. And to be able to get more time back from getting the financial freedom to be with your loved ones and travel the world doing whatever you want, with whoever you want. It's a good feeling. If money was ever the issue to be able to hit your goals and dreams, it's like we just eliminate that with credit.
Yeah, exactly. And, people say that money doesn't buy happiness, but time freedom definitely does. And no one can argue with that.
When people bring that up, I ask them, what does poor buy you? What does broke buy you? Not a damn thing. It's pretty damn good. We raised over $34,000 in Tulum at our last mastermind group for a nonprofit here in San Diego, Journey to Refuge. And we were able to raise $34,000 to build 3 new homes for families down in Mexico. We got to participate with one of them. And I mean, talk about fulfillment, like talk about the gratitude. It's like the experience to see this amazing young family be able to have a clean home with a roof over their head, safety, security, like shelter, warmth, for a lifetime. It's like, come on, man. That's what money can buy you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's amazing. That's super, super cool. Good for you guys. Awesome, Brandon. Well, I love it, dude. You're, super amazing what you've put together, and the way that you're approaching things is truly unique. I feel like in a space that is an echo chamber of so many people trying to do the same thing, you have a pretty sweet spot you're doing here. So I guess to wrap up the show, we're kind of getting to the end of time here. We have our 3 end of show questions. I apologize. I probably should have sent them to you. I need to get better about that at some point here. But also too, it keeps you on your toes. It makes it more authentic. So first question we have, which is always the crowd favorite, which is, what is your craziest real estate investing story? And this can be, good story, bad story, crazy tenant. Only catalyst is that you cannot use a story about finding a dead person or tenant or seller in a property, because it's supposed to be an entertaining story. And we had a streak of like 5 people that was their story. And it was just a freaking bummer, man.
Yeah, man. That's a depressing one. Man, I have so many stories, honestly, but one that naturally pops out to mind is that I found a homemade bomb next to one of my properties before. And
really?
Yeah, and I was shocked. I was just cleaning up the area over in Ohio, and I saw like there was a stack of bricks that I put there last time, and I saw this little bag hanging out. I went to go check it out, and I saw that it was like a red like makeshift pipe, and then it had a little fuse coming out. It looked all homemade, and I was like, God, what is this? And I was like, I think it is what it is. And my stupidity, I was like, all right, well, I got to catch a plane in like 30 minutes. I'm already like getting late for that. I need to go. I think if I call the cops, it's going to take too long and be a scene. So instead, I threw it in the back of my rental. I drove 10 minutes downtown to the police department, and I straight walked in with the bag in my hand, knocked on the glass window, and I was like, hey, I think I got a bomb that I found at my house. And they were like, you brought what you think to believe is a bomb into a police building? I was like, now that you say it, I didn't. They were like, get out of the building right now. And it was a scene.
That's crazy. Well, at least you went to the police station. I had a brief moment of panic. I thought you were going to say you decided you're going to bring it with you on the plane.
No, I'm not that stupid. Yeah, I was leaving it in Ohio for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not at my property.
Yeah, I tossed it in my bag, and I decided I was deal with it when I got home. And then I got to the airport and was like, oops, that doesn't make sense.
Tossed it to the neighbor's house I didn't like.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's crazy. So I guess what was the resolution with that though? So they made you leave, and then what, did you just like leave it out on the sidewalk and they came and dealt with it?
They came outside. They had a couple other people came outside as well, took a look at it. They looked, and then they had like a bomb squad come in. They were very frustrated at me. They took down my info, and I believe, and then I said, hey, I really got to go and catch this plane. And I was like, peace. And what's funny is that I never followed up, and they never either. So really curious whatever happened with that. Fine. I thought about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, that must have been not a major deal if they never followed up. Yeah, I think they'd be pretty persistent on that.
Yeah, it's a wild area, so I wouldn't be surprised some of the other things. Yeah, but yeah.
That's a funny one. Okay, cool. So second question, what is the number one tip you would give to a new investor looking to get started or a like small time investor looking to take their business to the next level?
That's so good. So two-part for that. So for somebody brand new getting started, I highly recommend checking out and getting a little bit of education on what it looks like to invest in real estate from beginning to end in all of the different strategies out there. There's 30 plus ways to make money in real estate. Like, it's not for everybody, all of them. Figure out what you resonate with, what you gravitate towards, what makes sense financially, what makes sense time-wise, and your resources. And afterwards, just see what you're gravitating toward, like what really attracts you. After that, deep dive into just that, laser beam focus. Only get education from people that are doing exactly that, and it'll set you up for success. Don't get distracted from all the distractions out there, right? Like, don't go, you're 3 feet from gold and wholesaling, and then you jump into fix and flips or, multifamily. It's like, don't do that because some guru made it look good and sexy online.
Yeah.
And then anybody that's trying to grow and scale a business, it's a financial piece. It's like, get your ducks in order. I think there's an amazing book called Traction that has set our business up tremendously successful. I'm very thankful for it. Got recommended from a mentor with it, but also, like, get your credit right. Like, utilize business credit. You can get so much funding. I can't explain this enough or stress it. You can get over $1 million in funding within just 12 months. Like, $1 million at your fingertips. So if money was ever the issue, understand that credit can be the solution. If you live in America, you're blessed. Like, let's get the credit. Let's hit your goals and dreams.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, we'll definitely have to connect after this because, I mean, for us, we're pretty established, but we could do a hell of a lot with $1 million, I think.
Anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you know how to find opportunity, if you're a business owner and you can find opportunity and capital is the only thing holding you back from it, then that's your solution, credit.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's good stuff. Cool. So last question, where can people find you, follow you, and reach out to you?
Yeah, man, of course. CreditCounselElite.com is going to be the best resource. You can actually, we did a webinar. It's about an hour long. I highly recommend everybody watching that. It will break down all the possibilities that we can help you with and guide you and show you for all the possibilities with credit. And that's on www.creditcounselelite.com. Otherwise, if you want to check out our podcast, it's called Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. Wherever you listen to your episodes, hit that subscription button. You can see the new episodes every Monday. And then I'm on all social media. So Instagram, it's Brandon Elliott Investments. And then Facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Brandon. This has been super enlightening, and it's good to see you again, man. I appreciate you so much, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate the platform and all the knowledge and time and effort you're putting into this. So God bless you, brother. I appreciate it. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks, Brandon. I appreciate it. And thanks so much for listening, everybody. If you want to reach out to Brandon, he just gave you a bunch of ways to do so. Go and check out creditcounselelite.com. Definitely hit him up on that. And then, Instagram, social, go ahead and shoot him a DM. Super nice guy. I would highly recommend you engage with him because he has a lot that he can teach, a lot of valuable info. Aside from that, everybody, if you want to start generating off-market leads, you can go to collectingkeyspodcast.com/free, and you can get the 5-step guide for how Dan and we put together the basis of our business to start generating literally hundreds of off-market leads every single month. If you go through that guide, it can get you started in just a couple weeks. It's really not rocket science. You just need to have a basic process. So that's collectingkeyspodcast.com/free. And aside from that, guys, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast and share this with anyone else who wants to figure out how to get more liquid to buy properties because Brandon dropped a ton of knowledge on this. So thanks so much for listening, everybody, and talk to you guys next week.